Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be comparing the Honda CR-V Hybrid to the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid. Before we get into this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Ken Garf Honda here in Orem, Utah, and to the Brent Brown Toyota here in Orem, Utah for giving me some time with both of these vehicles. I'll include a link to both of their inventories in the description down below, so you can check out what they have currently. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Powering the RAV4 is a hybrid 2.5 liter 4-cylinder that goes through an eCVT. Fuel economy is 41 around town and then 38 on the highway, with power being 219 horsepower combined. Now, powering the CR-V is a 2-liter 4-cylinder that's paired to a hybrid system and an eCVT, so similar enough to the RAV4, a little bit smaller engine though. Anyways, fuel economy is 40 around town and then 34 on the highway, with power outputs being 204 horsepower combined. Now, before we move forward with this review, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the RAV4, you probably noticed the blue Toyota logo to signify this is a hybrid. Now on top of that, we've got the RAV4's interesting headlight design. You can see the fog lights down below. But yeah, the RAV4 goes for kind of more of like a rugged, boxy look, whereas with the CR-V, it focuses more on sportiness. Now there is nothing to signify that this is a hybrid on the front end, other than the little things that look like rocket boosters down below if you're in the know, but it doesn't have like a blue badge or anything. It's interesting. Now around the side here, our tire wheel setup is 225/60/18 in the front and over in the rear, and you guys can see with the wheels you've got the metallic gray. Got these pretty chunky fender flares here, and you can see the mirror caps, door handles, all that body painted. You got some chrome trim around the windows, and then here is your side view with the RAV4. Now with the Honda, our tire wheel setup is 235/60/18 in the front and over in the rear, and you guys can see with the wheels all blacked out, which looks really cool. And then the fender flares, less chunky than the RAV4, is a little bit more reasonable looking. Same thing with the bodywork there on the side, and then notice chrome trim around the windows, blacked out mirror cap, and there's your side view at the CR-V. Now here's a quick look at the key fobs. You guys can see pretty similar with the functionality. Remotes are at the Toyota is built into the lock function, but yeah, so yeah, pretty cool. Now popping into the cargo area of the CR-V, we've got a little 12 volt there in the back. The loading floor is pretty low. With the hybrid, you do lose the underfloor space to the battery, so there is a little bit of that. But overall, it's definitely practical with the space. When you're all done, just press that and then I'll lower it down. And then popping into the RAV4, you guys can see here with the cargo cover built in from the factory, and it's quite a bit of space just like the CR-V. And interestingly enough, we do not lose the loading floor. We still have a spare tire underneath there, so I think that is interesting. But yeah, when you're all done with the RAV4, just like the CR-V, button and we'll lower down. Now taking a look at the rest of the rear of the CR-V, this is where we finally get a hybrid badge, so that's another way you could tell that this is a hybrid. But yeah, sleek, sporty design. I think it looks really cool overall. And then with the RAV4, again, they've kind of gone for like a boxier look, as you can see. And for a hybrid, it's funny that it has the super prominent exhaust tip covers. I guess the CR-V has something similar to it though. Now in the back of the CR-V, legroom is great. We also have some vents back here, USBs, and I like the design here of the seats. I think that's pretty special looking. And then you've got nice soft touch all over the door panel, and then headroom back here is pretty good. Now in the back of the RAV4, pretty similar space, vents, USBs, all that. And you guys can see the seats, definitely more utilitarian in the RAV4. I mean, these would be easier to clean, I suppose. And then you guys can see with the door panel, the trim and everything, only this part's actually soft touch. That's all hard touch, interestingly enough. So I guess the Honda kind of has more of a upscale door panel, if that makes sense. Anyways, headroom, it's good. And then inside of the CR-V, you guys can see soft touch all around the steering wheel. You got some cool orange stitching down the center. Lots of practical controls in the front, including for the adaptive cruise control, steering assist. We've got paddle shifters here on the back for the regen setup. And then nice soft touch here on the door panel and down below. All of our window controls, mirror adjustments, all of that. Blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. And then if we actually take a look at the gauge cluster, you can see it lets us know what's happening with the hybrid system. And then we do have some drive modes we can go through, so they kind of make things easy from that perspective. And then we do have traditional backup camera. It makes a hybrid noise, a little whirring sound. But yeah, this is Honda's infotainment system. Response time's great. It's easy to use. It does have that plopped on the dash appearance though. Speaking of the dash, soft touch all over. And then you got Honda's Mega Vent is what I like to call it, because it just, yeah. And then we got our dual zone climate controls, heated seats, charging ports down below, wireless phone charging pad, shifter for that ECVT, your drive mode select, hill descent control, parking brake, brake hold, and then you guys can see with the storage here. Nice padding on the top, and then with the glove box, you also got storage there as well. And then we do have a sunroof here with the CR-V. Inside of the RAV4, and controls are very similar here with the RAV4 as they are on the CR-V. But again, there's some differences, like it's hard touch up here, but then soft touch down below. Do have memory seats, which is nice. And then you guys can see for the heated steering wheels right there, interestingly enough. And then we don't have paddle shifters or anything on the back of the steering wheel. And then notice with the gauge cluster, it shows us again with the hybrid info. We do have a bunch of different drive modes with this, including like an eco mode and a sport mode that we can go into. And then camera system, just a traditional backup, just like the CR-V. And then the infotainment system's a little bit bigger compared to the CR-V's. Response time with it, it's great, it's easy to use overall. Soft touch with the dash goes across as well. Got some storage above the glove box, and the glove box itself is pretty spacious. Dual zone climate, heated seats, wireless phone charging pads. You can see feature to feature pretty similar. And all of your drive modes and your EV mode as well. Shifter for the ECVT. Got some cup holders here, center console. And then this section has a camera rear view mirror, which is nice. And then we also have a sunroof up top. A little bit of glare, so it's hard to see, but as equipped, this CR-V sticker is for $39,525, and the RAV4 sticker is actually over here, $41,709 is equipped with this RAV4. Let's talk about visibility here in the CR-V before we set off. Here's visibility over the hood, both the mirrors, do a blind spot monitoring with the rest of the rear, and CR-V hybrid away. Setting off in the CR-V hybrid, and I'm really excited for this comparison. You know, RAV4 hybrid versus CR-V hybrid. These are two of the kings of the hybrid world, I guess is what I will call it. So first off, seat comfort's really good in the CR-V, and it's smooth. It's very smooth. The engine just popped on, got a little rumble from that. But yeah, I like this. I like this experience so far. I will say, I think that, you know, from the reviews I've done in the past, it seems like when you go up to hybrid with RAV4 and CR-V, it seems like that's the place to be with these cars, because you don't concede anything. You gain, well, actually, you actually gain stuff. You get better fuel economy, but then you also get a little bit better power, and they drive really well. I feel like for the CR-V especially, the hybrid's like a big upgrade compared to the 1.5 because ECVT, and it's got more power. And Sauna's done a really good job with the performance of this hybrid powertrain. Man, I got unlucky as unlucky can be. We got the, I don't know, lots of people here. Okay, so finally, you know, somewhat setting off. Let's get an acceleration here. Super smooth. Love that with the transitions. I've noticed that with ECVTs. They're just, compared to regular CVTs, it seems like there's just a much smoother transition there. Drives well. Man, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting. So, some other stuff with it. It seems like, yeah, it seems like they do a good job with the electric side having enough power to like just get you up without having to use the engine at all. I'm impressed with that. It's cool to do with the paddle shifter, you can do more regen. So it's kind of more like a one pedal drive type deal. It's very interesting. So what do I have it set at? Oh, there we go. So I've got it like maxed out pretty much. Oh yeah, it pulls back massively. I like that. I wish more of these traditional hybrids had that more one pedal drive like experience. So to sum things up, really good hybrid. It's smooth. I like the power delivery a lot. I like the fact that I can do the paddle shifters to add to the regen. So then I can, it's not true one pedal, but it's closer. So I like that. With all of that being said, let's go pop over into the RAV4 hybrid and see how that performs in comparison to this CR-V hybrid. Let's talk about visibility before we set off in the RAV4. Here's visibility over the hood, both the mirrors, do a blind spot monitoring, got the rest of the rear, and RAV4 hybrid away. So let's see kind of how this compares back to back. I guess the first thing to mention is right off the bat, again, the utilitarian kind of theme with the RAV4 versus the luxury theme with the CR-V. I mean, that's the most obvious thing right off the bat when you get into the cars. This is kind of a little bit of a side tangent, but someone that has watched a few of the videos was here, and they were asking me about CR-V versus RAV4 because they're personally comparing them, and they're asking me about the space between the cars. Super similar, like in terms of like the interior dimensions and everything. They're in the same size category, but like they feel very similar in terms of like the headroom with the cars and the legroom and all of that. So I don't really feel like you can, I don't really feel like you win one way over the other in terms of the interior spacing with the vehicles. Random thing that I'm mentioning in the review, but just because someone asked, and I always try to include stuff in the reviews that people ask in the real world so that I can answer real world questions. Man, I am just unlucky today with traffic, but I think we're good to go. Huh. Interesting. So right off the bat, so the CR-V has a smaller engine, 0.5 liters smaller, and the RAV4, right, a little bit bigger engine. But this powertrain seems to, I mean, the power figures are pretty similar, but this powertrain seems to be more like reliant on the engine than the hybrid side of things, which is interesting. I should have looked up the breakdown with the power, like how much comes from the hybrid, how much comes from the engine with both of them. But yeah, this doesn't have the same, dare I say, smooth feel that the CR-V has. It seems like with the CR-V, they're almost trying to make like a traditional hybrid drive more like a plug-in hybrid, whereas with this, it just drives like a traditional hybrid, which isn't a bad thing. It's just not as refined feeling as the CR-V when you drive them back to back. And I guess that kind of, I feel like that kind of describes the Toyota compared to the Honda. The Honda feels more luxurious, more refined. This feels more rugged, utilitarian inside. So yeah, it's kind of like it's carrying over into the powertrain side of things, which is very, very interesting to say the least. But we'll kind of, I mean, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt here and see. Interesting. So interesting. Yeah, these powertrains feel so different. Wow. Interesting. I mean, you look at the fuel economy specs, the RAV4 gets better fuel economy. I'm wondering if that's because of the bigger engine, because both ECVTs. So it's not, you know, I imagine the transmission efficiencies are going to be pretty similar. Huh. This is a weird conclusion. So I guess to cap things off, RAV4 versus CR-V hybrid, you know, back-to-back driving. I mean, when you look at the specs on paper, the RAV4 gets a little bit better fuel economy, so some of you might like that. When it comes to driving, I actually like the CR-V hybrid drive a little bit more in terms of how the powertrain performs. And it's interesting that the CR-V is a bit less expensive than the RAV4. It's $2,000, but $2,000, I mean, it's some money, right? It's a chunk of change. So I guess the RAV4 does the hybrid things in terms of the efficiency, but the Honda, it seems like that powertrain, that hybrid powertrain, just, I don't know, like what they've done with the overall setup. I just think it's more refined, and so I think that it leads to a more enjoyable hybrid driving experience. They're both really good though. Let me know your thoughts though, CR-V versus RAV4. Let me know which route you would go in terms of the hybrid powertrains with the vehicles.